In today's video, you're going to learn some baseball infielding technique. You're going to learn some tips and see some infielding mechanics and how they affect throwing across the diamond and also just your glove work in general as a baseball player. So you're going to see some slow motion video of baseball players, some infielders. We're going to break this all down and go through it. So if you're new to the channel, really consider subscribing. I put out lots of new tutorials like this. I'm really heavy on the pitching side, the mental side, but I like breaking the game down both into fielding, pitching, hitting, all that stuff. So we're going to go over lots of it. So stick around. I think you're going to enjoy it. Okay, so what is funneling and why does it matter to a baseball infielder? Like, why is this a technique that young players really need to learn and really need to drill a lot? So basically funneling is just when you get a ground ball when you're squared up to it. So when you field it in the center of you, you're going to take it from your glove, doing that sort of alligator trap, and you're going to pull it into the center of your body. That's just called funneling. You're bringing it into your middle. So why do we do this? Well, it's basically going to give you a consistent starting point for your throwing mechanics, which is obviously really, really important because you don't know when exactly you're going to throw the ball. You might get a hot shot and get a couple of shuffles before you throw it away, or you might have to get rid of it quickly. And so a really good example of someone who keeps the ball at their center is a football quarterback. So when they are dropping back into the pocket and looking for a receiver, they're going to keep the ball at their center because it's, number one, an obvious place to keep it. But number two, when they are ready to throw it, no matter where their hips are facing, they're going to start from that same consistent point. So in baseball, once we get that ground ball, we're going to bring it to our center. And then again, depending on how much time we have, we might take a couple steps or we might throw right away. But either way, no matter what type of sort of throwing task we're going to do as an infielder, we want to make sure we're starting from that same exact point whenever possible. And obviously this is mostly for balls where we're going to square up to. So again, ones that we'll field here in the center of us. Does not apply to, balls on the run, stuff like that. We usually will bring those to center in some cases, but not always. So once we get through here, again, we're going to get it to our center, and then we're going to move, do the footwork that's required, take the amount of time that's required, and then make our throw across the diamond. So let's go over a couple of video examples. So in this video, you're going to see three pro guys taking their infield ground balls between an inning, and really watch how they just automatically sort of exaggerate and really vacuum that ball up from their glove when they field it right up to their belt line. See, he just instinctively kind of pulls it to his belt. Same thing there. It's a little exaggerated because that was something they were taught when they were young, because it's a really important thing that all high-level players do. So here's another example. This is in super slow-mo. He's on the move and he brings it to his center, and this is a good example because he gets it there and then he actually bobbles it, and because he had it at his center, he can fiddle with the ball, recover, and still make his throw while on the move. Here's another one, just like sort of an average ground ball, and he gets it. He's already moving his feet as he brings it to his middle. And then a lot of infielders are going to sort of separate their hands, get their rhythm down, and then they're going to make their throw after that. But you see how he's in a consistent throwing position just like a football quarterback would be. Here's our last example. This is a pro shortstop, and if you watch him, he's going to approach it with his right. He's going to start moving through it, so his left is going to come in front, and this is just a between innings ground ball. But even then, the first place his hand and glove go is his middle, and then right on their way to get into throwing position and make that strong throw across the diamond. So with all this stuff, it's a super important concept for young players, especially to have their daily work, right? Their consistent practice, a lot of that boring, easy stuff become routine and consistent. And so as a coach, you can sometimes think, oh, this isn't very exciting. Like, kids want all these new drills. But all the best players do lots of consistently boring stuff that they're going to use over and over in a game. That's called the fundamentals. So what do we do about this? Here's three things you can do. Number one, take video, okay? So take video, right? So we all have these magical devices, right? Our phones, and they do really good slow motion. Obviously, the slow motion video you see here is either in 240, most of it's 480 frames per second, which most camera phones do 240 frames per second. The big limitation is on zoom range. So I have a camera that has a really long zoom lens, and so that makes it a little bit easier to capture game action, because on a phone, when you use digital zoom, which is like when you pinch and it expands, it degrades the quality, so it's a little bit tougher. So there's some lenses you can get for that. You can always pick up a camera. I buy a lot of used cameras personally. People seem to take care of their electronics. That's a good way to do it, but use video to your advantage. So help your players, whether you're a coach, whether you're a parent, help them by showing them what's going on so that they can educate themselves and be better self-coaches. Number 2, dailies. So dailies or daily drills, these are just sort of like on your knees, just rolling ground balls to each other. You'll see big leaguers do this in front of the dugout a lot of times before games, where they're just working on their basic glove work. So this might be funneling, it might be working on their backhand, it might be working on picks. But dailies, getting some sort of routine for your fielders is really, really important. And you'll see all the big league guys do this because they've been doing it since they were little kids. So again, it's not always hitting ground balls while everyone's lined up at shortstop or third base. Those are great, but those are harder to work on the fundamentals because there's so much reaction, right? Balls are hit in all different directions, different speeds. They have to run and make the play and do all that stuff. Taking some of that out of it and just rolling the ball to their center and just working on that movement of funneling, and whether it's picking or backhanding, whatever it is, these daily drills can be really, really important for a young player's long-term development. And lastly, game-like reps. So whether this is in pregame, whether this is during BP, whatever it is, you need to encourage your players to take game-like reps. We have an example here. And obviously you can't be throwing constantly, right? You can't always be throwing across the diamond. Your arm will get worn out. But encourage your players to take game-like reps. And so what that means is, even if they're not going to throw it across the diamond, they still need to attack it, field it, go through all the game motions that an infielder is going to do. If they want to be pros, they need to still get as many reps as they can. So here you're going to see this guy taking a ground ball. He's going to funnel it, bring it right to his center, move his feet. He's going to take a crow hop, and he's going to be, right now, you don't really know that he's going to pull up and not actually throw that ball. So going through game-like actions at game speed is really important, and it's something that's going to make the difference long term, because if you're a young player and every time you get a ground ball, you're working on those high-level actions that pro infielders have, that D1 infielders have, and this is a D1 guy right here, that's going to make all the difference in the end. The more quality reps you get as a baseball player, the better an infielder you're going to be long term, the better your hands are going to be, the better your arm strength is going to be, the better you're going to be at making those awkward throws across the diamond. So hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Obviously this was geared all at baseball infielders, so if you're new to the channel and you liked what you saw today, definitely hit the subscribe button, share this with a friend. It's great seeing high-level players in slow motion, because obviously it's just like show and tell. Like, look, this is how they're doing it. It's right there in front of you. It's easy to refer to, and it's easy to compare yourself to, right? So if you want to be a D1 baseball player or a pro baseball player one day, which is a very admirable goal, then figure out what the actions that these players have, like what does it take to play at that level. And once you know that, then you know how much work you need to put in and what kind of techniques and what kind of skills you need to develop to eventually be one of those players. All right. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.